So question number 1 under purpose. When does a job not become a job?
Well, there are many reasons that why I feel my job does not become a job, but I'll specifically mention to you 2 points. The first is because I know the answer to my why. It's very often that we know what we're doing on a day-to-day basis at work, but on rare occasions, we rarely ask why we're doing what we're really doing at work. That's the first point there. And second, I can say that growth mindset is very important in the fabric of the operations at work. Since Lingaro is a technology agnostic company, we need to constantly reskill and upskill in order to provide the value to our customers. And I think this is where a lot of opportunity as employees stems from. So this endless opportunity for learning and growth is why I feel my job is not really a job.
I think that's very, very important as well, especially because the topic for today is purpose, finding your why. So Sandy or Bo, do you have anything to add to that? Anything to add to how a job could possibly not feel like a job?
I really like Raff's answer that you need to know the why behind what you're doing because it's really important. Otherwise, it's going to be pointless, right? But I also think that a job doesn't become a job when you find value in what you do. And it's really important that you also enjoy what you're doing while you're doing it so that you will not feel that time is passing by. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I agree to what Carl said that you must love what you do because when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. It's the one that makes you feel alive because when you know your purpose, determination will come very naturally and easily. And it's when we express our values, we can do meaningful work and are able to make a positive difference in the work that we do. And it's also when you feel supported by the people who you work with and see that they are there to help you win. Because when you want to do great things, you'll want to do it with great people. And it's when you see the value of your contributions to your teammates, the organization, and of course, your personal growth. That's the kind of thing that might get you up in the morning, racing to go to work. And sure, there will be hard days. But when you love what you do, you still show up, right? When you ground it with your purpose, you'll be able to endure it. It doesn't mean that you won't get tired because you will, but you will be fulfilled and happy.
Wonderful answer. So we're just on question number 1, but we're already getting very high value insights. Support, value, personal growth, and just basically finding your why will help your job not feel like a job. So thank you very much, Raff, for starting us off on a very good note. So I'm going to pass it on to Bo right now. Bo, what do you need to feel a sense of purpose at work?
Well, for me, since I specifically do trainings, I'm a learning and development specialist. So for me, the value that I need for me to feel that sense of purpose is to see the impact that my work creates and the impact that it has, positive impact towards other people and to the organization as a whole. As long as I can see the impact of the impact of what I do, that's more than enough for me to feel that what I'm doing has a sense and has a purpose.
That's wonderful. Raff or Sandy, please feel free to jump in case you have anything to add to that.
I definitely agree with Carl, but to be honest with you, I'm new in the industry. After graduating back in 2019, I was just hungry to jumpstart my career like many fresh graduates. I never really thought about finding my purpose at work, but as time came along, maturity and work worked well together, and I found my purpose later on. I totally agree with you, Carl.
Wonderful. So it's nice to have another perspective, especially from somebody who just, jumped into the workforce. So Sandy, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I've already been in the workforce for at least a decade. No, maybe turning into a decade. It's about 9 years already. And I've been with the company ever since I've graduated. So maybe it's just finding the value in the work that I do and how it contributes to the bigger picture. I want to know that I'm working towards something larger. And there must be a culture that reinforces the important role I play within the organization and how the role ties back to my greater purpose. And maybe also I need to feel that my opinions matter and what I say is heard by the management. And it doesn't mean that they will be agreeing to everything that I say 100%. But it's when they really take the time to know what I think and intentionally listen because they trust me and know that I can bring value. Because it's very different when you say, did you talk to that person versus did you listen to that person?
Those are some very wise words. So what we're getting here is just that basic acknowledgement, first of all, that I'm a part of this organization. I'm not just a cog in the machine. I
Yeah.
am working towards something larger. I'm a part of something greater than me. But at the same time, it is attached to my sense of purpose or my sense of being. So thank you for that additional perspectives. And so Sandy, since you're on stage right now or on screen, I am going to pass on the next question to you. So Sandy, what do you think are the most frustrating things an employee could possibly go through right now, especially in the time of COVID? You could even draw from personal experience.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it starts from feeling stagnant, then languishing. It's as if you're muddling through your days and everything becomes a blur. Because we had plans pre-COVID, right? And then COVID happened while our plans never did. And the pandemic was certainly not part of the plan. It was non-consensual. And one of the biggest challenges for us is not knowing how the future looks like, and as human beings really want to know, so the uncertainty of the future cause a lot of stress. Then you add the lack of face-to-face collaboration, personal issues at homes, demand from work and at home, the endless meetings to compensate for the lack of face-to-face, and all the other things that we think we have no control of. And it's really uncomfortable and frustrating for a lot of us, including me.
I agree. And what I'm getting from all of this is there's just this general sense of feeling overwhelmed. I mean, I'm not immune to that. I am an employee myself, so I personally feel heard with everything that you were mentioning right now. So Raff or Bo, do you have anything to add to that very relatable list of just general frustrations of what an employee could go through, especially in the time of COVID?
Yeah, Zoe, Sandy really made a good point. I think everyone really had this fear of the unknown and uncertainty that the pandemic brought about. And also, this really is new experience for many of us. Like, we found ourselves in an overwhelming sleep, eat, work, repeat cycle, yeah, at work, at home. But this time where we don't have the physical connections with our colleagues, so that we had to overcome during the work from home arrangement. And I think that really brought about a lot of frustrations.
Awesome. Those are actually very great points from Sandy and Raf. I totally agree. But for me, personally, the biggest frustration is having that fear, the constant fear and anxiety of getting sick. Because nowadays, even if you get the common colds, it's kind of debilitating, right? Because it takes away from your peace of mind, and it's going to affect your not just your work life, it's going to affect your personal life as well. So that is for me the most frustrating part, the biggest frustration of mine during the pandemic.
So with that being said, Bo, since you're here right now, you're the last one to answer. How has your company helped you through this?
Oh God, Keywords Studios Manila has been a big help with that fear and anxiety that I've been having because of the pandemic. Because there's been a constant and genuine effort by the company to come up with different initiatives for not just the employees but even the family members of the employees, which is awesome. Recently, our HR department actually rolled out the mental health program of the company that is extended not just to the regular employees, not just to the non-regular employees as of yet, but even up until to their immediate family members, which I think is really thoughtful and is really needed in this time. And aside from that, there are also care packages being sent out to those employees that are being tested positive for COVID, which I think is really great because there's a sense of assurance that we employees get that, hey, no matter what happens, no matter what state of health we're in, the company has our back. And even though it doesn't completely alleviate the fear or anxiety, it actually creates or helps out in giving us some of our peace of mind back and some sense of assurance.
That's great to hear. Basically, your company's saying, we got you. Right.
Exactly.
We've got your back. And so this is also an opportunity, Raff and Sandy. So let's start with Raff. How has your company helped you get through all of these frustrations and this just general feeling of being overwhelmed in the time of COVID?
Even during the time of like early parts of the COVID pandemic, even before, actually months before, when we heard about this new virus going around the world, we already had these work from home arrangements. So when the actual pandemic came, there wasn't really much of a disruption because the company already had the infrastructure and mechanisms to have a work from home arrangement, which really helped us in transitioning towards a long-term work from home arrangement. And I'm really happy that our companies, Bo, share the value of investing in our people, like having the backs of our people and considering everyone, even the families of the employees. It's really important to help reduce the anxiety that we already experience a lot because of the pandemic.
It's wonderful to hear that your company has developed that infrastructure. I like that. So it shows how important it is to prepare in advance. And so, Sandy, do you have anything to add to that? How has your company helped you get through this?
Yeah, actually, it is similar to what Bo and Raf has said. So it's very important to have an organization that cares for its people. During the start of the pandemic, we were able to quickly shift and adapt to a more resilient and agile work arrangement at home because of our strong business continuity management process. We were ready. We were ready in all three aspects: people, process, and technology. We've digitally transformed our processes and upskilled our people in using collaborative technology. And the organization immediately responded by shipping work from home equipment, care packages, providing allowances, well-being leaves, webinars, and programs to its employees. And Emerson even launched a similar program to what Bo said, that called Emerson Cares. This is an initiative to provide access to mental health benefits and disaster relief during trying times. And Support Our People Fund was also created to help employees all over the world that are facing financial hardship. And management support was also very evident, and they take the time for meaningful conversations despite virtual. So we also learned as we go. So this time around, the management encouraged its employees to focus on meetings that matter. You know what they say, when no gap, no yap. So we wouldn't take it against you if you'll not attend the meeting because you just go on mute the whole time. So you're free. And then if you're finished already for your part, you could go, because we really respect each other's time, and we make it more mindful and intentional to save time and energy. And then it's very evident also that Emerson listens to its people and takes action when it's appropriate. And I really appreciate the leaders that are always out in front, visible and present, especially during times of challenge.
That's a lot. And I'm learning from you as well. No gap, no yap. Maybe people who are watching this right now, who are in a difficult situation with their management, should just drop that in an email and let's see how it goes over there. But thank you so much for that. And I'm sure that a lot of people, a lot of employers, a lot of managers, and even employees themselves are learning how they can possibly suggest to navigate through this very difficult time if these protocols are not yet in place. And so that's what's very valuable here. And so I'm going to pass it back on to you, Raff. We're going to go closer into the topic of purpose. What do you think is so great about your company? Why do you work there?
Zoe, I really enjoy working at Lingaro because of the people first culture. By definition, people first culture means actively creating a desirable work environment to the most important asset in the company, and that's its people. The way we evolved our ways of working is proof that we have a people first culture. So the way the company provides meaningful work has helped even me personally find my purpose. And finally, one of the reasons why I find Lingaro is as a great place to work at is because I feel I'm able to, make a difference in the organization, and of course, the shared growth mindset that we all share in the company.
This is actually a very crucial question. So I'm going to take the time to point this to everyone. So everyone will have the chance to say, well, what's so great about their company? So Bo, what is so great about your respective company?
Well, for Keywords Studios Manila, one of the things that I fell in love with the company is the fact that they gave me the opportunity to work with something that I love, which is video games. So, I mean, it's pretty cool, right? You're able to do something that you're really passionate about. So, that's one thing. But aside from that, I also love the fact that Keyword Studios Manila is always finding different means and ways to keep all of us engaged, even through this a new normal. Like they always try their best to make sure that the normal parties that we have on site, like the year-end party, they still conduct it, but they do it virtually, which is, in a sense, it's a little bit weird because we don't get to interact physically and personally, but still, it's a nice way to feel that you belong and that you're still part of the organization. And I think it's really well executed always because they also include there some recognitions. And I think that's a very good way to make everyone feel that, hey, you know what? We don't forget you. You are always seen, you are always recognized, and you're always appreciated for who you are and what you do for the company. So I think that itself is something that I really appreciate and I love about the company that I'm working with.
Thank you, Bo. So back on to you, Sandy. What makes your company such a great place to work, and why do you work there?
The people and culture make Emerson a great place to work. Emerson has a value-centered organizational culture. Our values give meaning and purpose to the daily work as employees, to our daily work as employees. And these values are not just mere posters on the wall, but are deeply ingrained in our DNA. It is who we are as a company and makes us unique and stronger as a business. Like no matter what our goal is, no matter where we are headed, our values serve as our moral compass. And Emerson is committed in fostering a culture in which every employee is valued and respected for their experiences and the unique perspectives that they bring to the table. It's a place where you can be different and still belong, and you won't get boxed in, and you get to be you. And it's also a place where my views are valued, my work counts, my learning and growth has very high importance, and my success is celebrated. In short, it's an organization that wants its people to win.
That is a very strong way to end how you yourself value your company and what makes it such a great place to work. And so what I'm also observing here, by the way, thank you very much for sharing that, all the three of you. What I'm seeing here is there are a lot of overlapping things. And that just goes to show that there's a certain pattern that's not difficult to see. That it's important to put your people first, that it's important to adapt and to help them feel the sense of belonging, especially in the time of COVID, that it's also crucial that your employees feel like they can be themselves in their companies. So I'd like to thank you again for sharing that. With that being said, Sandy, what are the three values possibly that you could have off the top of your head personally? And how does this relate to Emerson? How does your company fulfill these?
Yeah, actually, I'm quite lucky because my personal values are aligned with the organization's core value. First would be integrity, because we should be first would be integrity because we should be uncompromising in our ethical expectations of ourselves and even others. It's about doing what's right when no one's looking, and not just that, doing your best and showing up even when things get hard, following through on commitments and make others do the same, and taking that accountability for decisions and actions or even mistakes. And the next one would be innovation and continuous improvement. Because ever since I was young, I have this fascination with technology and how it affects people's lives. So I like to build things and be curious of all the possibilities, even non existent ones. And when I relate this to Emerson's brand promise, which is when it's never been done before, with Emerson, you can always consider it solved. And more than a mission, it's about the responsibility to be continuously committed in creating relevant, never been done before solutions that makes our world a better place. And last value would be supporting our people, because this ties to my personal purpose, which is helping people find their gift so that they may give it away to others. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if it weren't for the support of great leaders and people and friends at Emerson. And it's just about making a culture where we can be our truest authentic selves, and we could think big, ask the hard questions, and challenge conventional thinking without the fear of failure.
Thank you for that, Sandy. So, Bo, what are your personal values? Things that matter to you the most. How does Keywords answer these and make you feel fulfilled?
For Keyword Studios Manila, we have what we call the Rule of Nine, which are the 9 core values of every single Keyword Studios employee. And my top 3 favorites are positive thinking, learning and growing, and flexibility. Because this is going to sound like a Miss Universe answer, but I'm really sorry. But for me, those 3 are very important because not just because it falls under the core values that we have at work, but personally, I think that those 3 core values are very important nowadays, not just in the workplace, but also in personal life, because we are living in an ever changing world. There's nothing constant. And you need to be able to have that positive mindset, that can do attitude, so that you can embrace the changes. And once you embrace the changes, that's the time that you allow yourself to learn and grow as an individual. And when you're able to do that, that's when you are able to be flexible and be able to handle all kinds of situation. So for me, those 3 are the most important values that I could have and that I'm very thankful for, that the company really fosters and encourage.
Thank you for that very enthusiastic answer, Vo. All right, so now back on to you, Raff. How has Lingaro helped you? What are your 3 values and beliefs, and how does your company align with this?
My personal values are almost similar to Sandy, which are integrity, transparency, and accountability. You're going to really see a lot of patterns here, Zoe. Integrity is following through what I said and I would do, which perfectly relates to the workplace, because this can build and maintain trust from my colleagues and, of course, my customers. And transparency, which equates to open communication. And this is an extremely important trait to have, especially when you're trying to create effective teams. And lastly, accountability, which is taking ownership of the results of actions and choices I make, which of course inspires others as well to have confidence and builds the trust of my customers and colleagues. So that I think my answer with Sandy is very much similar. You're going to see a lot of patterns.
Very, very interesting. All right. And so actually, I don't know if you felt it, but we're down to our last question. This is something that I'm truly, genuinely interested in, because it's a chance for you to really dig deep and to help other people. So the question is for all of you, and Raff, we'll start with you, and then we'll go on to Bo, and then lastly, we'll end with Sandy. So Raff, what advice can you give for employees out there who are straddling along the lines to resign or not to resign? How can you help them?
This is a very difficult question, Zoe. Well, there's no single formula for this problem, I guess, but there are a lot of factors to consider. But let's stick to or narrow it down to workplace reasons. So first is, of course, you need to know your non-negotiables and personal values. These personal values and non-negotiables should match to that of the workplace to ensure that there is harmonious work-life integration. I'm using work-life integration and instead of work-life balance because I believe those two are more integrated than it's better to integrate them than balancing them. And second is for you to have reflect and ask yourself, what can I do to positively change a non-ideal situation in my workplace? Because every challenge, there's an opportunity to make this difference. So before quitting, ensure you've done your best before handing that resignation letter. And if you ever find yourself turning a new leaf, we're happy to welcome you with open arms, of course.
Thank you very much, Raff. I'm going to pass it on to you right now, Bo. I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but I'm sure there are so many people who have felt caught in between the lines. Should I stay in this company or should I go? Are there greener pastures? How could we possibly help them with all of the experience that you've gathered? What advice could you offer?
Yeah, actually, I've been in that situation multiple times before. Keyword Studios Manila is the 4th company that I've been with. So there's been 3 instances wherein I had to ask myself, should I go or should I stay? But my advice is more of like a personal take, because I know that every one of us has a different situation that we're living in. We have different circumstances and we have different kinds of responsibilities. With that said, though, personally for me, I always ask myself, Bo, are you still happy with what you're doing and with where you're at? Why? I know it's not the most practical thing to ask yourself, because you have to pay your bills, you have to take care of your family, so on and so forth. But for me, I need to find at least one aspect of what I'm doing, or the work or the company that I'm with. I need to find one aspect of it that makes me happy. As long as something makes me happy, that's enough reason for me to stay. But if everything is going wrong, that is a sign for me to let go, because if there's nothing that's making me happy anymore, that is already making my work at my daily life tedious for me. And if it's tedious, at one point it will become tiring for you, and later on it will evolve and will become stressful. And when you're stressed, it will affect not just your work life, it will affect your personal life, your physical, mental, and emotional health, and that will translate to how you interact with the people around you. So I don't want to ever come to that point. That's why when there's no more sense of happiness for me in what I'm doing, that is the sign that I take that maybe there's a greener pasture for me out there. So maybe that's something that you guys can also take into consideration. But again, it depends on your situation and the set of responsibilities that you have.
Thank you very much for that, Bo. What we're getting here is, does your job spark joy?
True.
Right? That's really what it is. And so, Sandy, back on to you. All right. Last but not least, what advice can you give to employees out there who are straddling along the lines to resign or not to resign?
Yeah, this is a tricky question because, like what Bo said, we all have different circumstances. And you know what they say, the grass is greener where you water it. Yeah, like what I said a while ago, there will be hard days, and this is a reality in any organization. The perfect organization for you is the one that will be with you and support you, especially during hard times. If you feel stuck or lost, take the reins and control the narrative. And the only limit that you set yourself is the one that you make, right? If you want growth, ask for it. Because if you don't ask for it, the answer will always be no. For me, I already had 3 different roles in the same company because I wanted growth. I wanted to try out new things. So you really have to fight for it. And you have to own your career and not let the pandemic stop you from doing your purpose. And it's about finding value in what you do and how you contribute to the organization, and just go to that quiet place inside of you that knows the truth. Be true to yourself and acknowledge where you are right now. And if you feel that your values and the direction you want for yourself are aligned with the organizations, then water that grass.
Very, very good advice that we're gathering here. And so I just want to squeeze out one more thing from each of you, because I know that you'll be able to provide something that's not just substantial, but is very personally helpful to anyone who's watching right now. So we'll go from Sandy to Bo to Raff. Do you have a personal mantra? Do you have a quote or something motivational that helps you, as you say, get out of bed every day and race to work? What do you tell yourself to psych yourself up?
Don't just aim for success, aim for significance, aim for something that will last, or aim for something that will outlast you. Because success, that will just stay with you. It won't go to other people. But when you're significant, you get to affect other people's lives, and they get to affect other people's lives as well, and make the world a better place.
Well, for me, my mantra is more of like, you don't have to really think about what other people are doing. Just mind your own thing. Because if you always worry about what other people are doing and compare yourself with other people, that time that you're wasting doing that could have been the time that you're spending to make yourself better at what you do. And if you do that, your work will speak for itself. You don't have to compete with anyone, and you don't have to compare yourself with anyone. Just do your own thing. And again, as long as it makes you happy, that's what matters. And as long as it's not affecting other people negatively, that should be fine.
What's really has gotten me through the stressful pandemic situation is this quote. I think I read it from Inquirer or something. I forgot the exact words. If it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. if there are things that are already out of your control, if there are things that are beyond your capacity to grasp, it deserves freedom from the mind too. And I think this has really helped me overcome a lot of my anxieties and insecurities, because this is something that I keep reminding myself of every time a stressful situation or a high pressure situation comes up at work. And I think that's how employees today uh, can cope, just by thinking that if it is beyond the grasp of your hands, if it is beyond the grasp of your control, it deserves freedom from your mind as well, just so that you don't carry a lot of baggage.
Wonderful advice. You can get a lot farther in life knowing what you can and can't do and what you can and can't control. So we've gotten a lot of high value information here for fellow employees. The topic for the day is purpose. This is in promotion of Philippines Best Workplaces 2022 Motivation, Purpose, Metamorphosis. I'd like to thank you, Sandy, Emerson, Bo from Keywords Studios Manila, and Raff from Lingaro for participating. You are amazing and we value you and we thank you very much for your time.